Now, the jobless rate among young people aged between 15 and 34 sits at 38%, according to Statistics South Africa. This means that more than 1 in every 3 young people in the labour force do not have a job. Many of those will be marking Youth Month unemployed. So why hasn't entrepreneurship provided the desired remedy to our stubborn unemployment rate? Well, Gugu Mjadu from Business Partners Limited joins us now to unpack this. Gugu, thanks indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Devin, for having me.
Perhaps the first question would be, is our youth employment mainly a symptom of our overall sluggish economy that's not labour absorbing at the moment, or is there something specific to youth employment that we're not seeing?
I think definitely the economy is impacting unemployment figures, but you do know from history that we have grown faster than we are growing now at a higher rate without creating employment necessarily for our young people. So it is the economy, but I suppose there's other factors such as education. Does it prepare our young people for their employment? Does it prepare them for entrepreneurship? But I also want to add that as much as we should push for entrepreneurship, it's still our responsibility as a country to create jobs for our young people, because not every young person is going to go into entrepreneurship. So I think we should always have that at the back of our minds, that yes, let's ask young people, let's encourage them to go into entrepreneurship, and it gives them the skills that they require to actually navigate life. But we should also make sure that as our responsibility as the private sector, as government, we need to create those jobs.
And government seemingly has been doing that. If you look at this year alone, we had initiatives that were endless, from the employment tax initiative, the youth employment drive. Yet it seems that it's just too little to meet this overwhelming demand. And perhaps that's where entrepreneurship comes in.
Definitely.
Yet for some reason, we haven't seen this concept or this activity take off as much as we've seen it in the rest of Africa. Entrepreneurship really rocketing in some African countries. What's the lag here in South Africa?
I think culturally, as much as we say that we're an entrepreneurial nation, the reality is we have never really encouraged our young people, or people in general, to go into entrepreneurship. We've always created through our education system people who go and look for employment. And there are no skills that necessarily say to you, yes, I have now the technical skills, and therefore when I leave the school, I can either start my own business or I can actually go into employment. So it's very important that we nurture the culture of entrepreneurship in the country. It's important that we celebrate people who are successful in entrepreneurship, because when I see a successful entrepreneur, it inspires me to see that actually there is money to be made in entrepreneurship, because a lot of people are driven by money and not necessarily that you want to make it. I think the key thing is you need to show it as a valid process to go into, as a valid endeavor, I suppose, to go into, and something that you should not fear, because one of the biggest challenges that we have in the country is that people are fearful to go into entrepreneurship, and that fear stems from not wanting to fail. And we need to encourage our young people to say, yes, you can fail, but what do you do next?
And that fear is partly represented by this Global Entrepreneur Monitor report, where, if I read the stats, 43% of South Africans perceived good opportunities as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. Yet only 11% of those entrepreneurs are actually involved in some early stage activity. That's quite a surprising stat, isn't it?
It is quite low. It is quite low. And a lot of that is due to the fear of failure. A lot of that is due to not having the skills necessarily to know how to start a business, how to expand a business. Where am I going to register my business? Where am I going to get money? Because that's one of the challenges that young people especially face. Where do I get the money to start the business? But we also need to start saying, I might not have 20,000 rands to start a business, but can I start something with 1,000 rand? We have a lot of, like amongst the young people, we have a lot of Instagram entrepreneurs, as you know, social media entrepreneurs, and many of them have not started with big amounts of money. So we need to encourage young people to say, start small wherever you are, so that you are able then to grow your business incrementally.
We're going to have to leave it there, sadly. Thanks very much indeed. That was Gugu Mjadu from Business Partners Limited.